You're listening to episode number 15 and a half of the Keto Diet Podcast. Hey, I'm Leanne from healthfulpursuit.com, and this is the Keto Diet Podcast, where we're busting through the restrictive mentality of a traditional ketogenic diet to uncover the life you crave. What's keto? Keto is a low-carb, high-fat diet where we're switching from a sugar-burning state to becoming fat-burning machines. If you're in need of keto recipe food prep inspiration, I've prepped a free 7-day keto meal plan exclusive for podcast listeners. The plan is complete with a shopping list and everything you need to chow down on keto for 7 whole days. Download your free copy at healthfulpursuit.com/keto meal. Let's get this party started. Hey guys, happy Tuesday. If you're like, wait, what? It's not Sunday. Why did she just come out with a new episode? Today's episode is a bonus episode, and I wanted to do a bonus because I wanted to share more details about my new paperback that's coming out April 11th of this year, 2017. It's called The Keto Diet. I'm really pumped about it, and I wanted to really go through the ins and outs of the book, the creation process, everything to do with why I put things in, why I didn't put things in, to maybe encourage you guys to check it out and to just know more about the process. I know as an avid reader myself, I would love to know more about the books that I'm reading, like what went into the book and why did you choose the recipes that you did? Did you have struggles with any of the recipes or any of the information that you put in the book? So I thought, hey, if this is something that I would want, maybe a lot of my listeners want it too. So today's episode will be dedicated to everything the Keto Diet, my new paperback. And if you decide to pre-order it, you can go to any online bookstore, online retailer that includes Amazon, Barnes & Noble, IndieBound, Indigo, and search for the Keto Diet, or you can also search for my name, Leanne Vogel, or you can go to ketodietbook.com, and I've listed all the places where you can pre-order the book. And when you do pre-order, you also get access to an exclusive bundle that I've put together. So it includes a savings guide, which has a bunch of coupon codes you won't find anywhere else. And they're all of my favorite keto friendly goodies, a recipe pack with 12 recipes, a food sensitivity guide, and you'll also gain access to my private Facebook group. So if you do pre-order, head on over to ketodietbook.com, enter in your information, and you will get sent that exclusive bundle. So let's get right down to it, starting kind of with the history of the book and how this came about. Because if you guys have been following me for a while, you know that from the very beginning, I've always said I would never do a paperback, at least not with a publisher, because I didn't want to give up my creative freedom. And the only reason I said yes, well, there were actually 2 reasons I said yes to a publishing deal. The first is that Victory Belt approached me. And if you guys know Victory Belt, they kind of, in my eyes, really created paleo. They really made paleo what it is today. They've published things like It Starts With Food, Against All Grain, the 21-Day Sugar Detox, a paleo approach, Eat the Yolks, the Paleo Kitchen, Practical Paleo, Paleo Takeout. They did a couple of Danielle Walker's books, Rob Wolf's books. So they make awesome books. And my friend Jimmy Moore speaks so highly of them. They've published a lot of his books as well. And The Spunky Coconut, my friend Kelly. So there was a huge reason why I wanted to write this book, is that I feel like in the keto space, and this is really why I started the podcast also, is that in the keto space, there is a lot of misconception and there's a lot of my way or the highway approach to keto. And I think, I know that a lot of women that try this approach and use the my way or the highway approach end up having a lot of issues and it's not working for them and they get frustrated and they give up. And rightly so. Totally. I get it. So I wanted a platform that would allow me to share the message that your body is completely the perfect way that it should be right now. And it's totally okay to strive for more, but also taking a moment to really think about how we can nourish our bodies through this approach. And so when Victory Belt said, we want to work with you and you can literally write about anything you want, I was like, heck yes. So the initial planning stages were very similar to how I plan my own programs. Really, the only difference is that I had a team of people that would help me. And with my programs and stuff, I have staff and we go through things, but really they've never published books or anything like that. So it's really, the creativity really comes from me when I'm creating my programs myself. And that's something that I really loved about the publishing process of just sitting down with a bunch of people and going through just ideas. And initially, the title of the book was going to be Fat is Good. And we changed the title to The Keto Diet because no one else had written a book called The Keto Diet. And how cool is it that I am going to have a book called The Keto Diet? Because I feel like if somebody's going to practice keto, they probably need that book. And then they'll get a holistic approach to it, which I really wanted to set out to start that conversation. So it ended up working so perfectly. The timeline initially gave me about a year to put things together, but because the keto space is growing so much, we decided collectively with the publisher to kind of speed things up a bit. So I nonstop worked from like March to October, putting together the front matter of the book, which includes it has to be over 400 pages of front matter about how to do keto and all the different meal plans and strategies that you can use to make keto work for you and your body. And then I spent the following 4 months from July to October putting together the recipes. And I remember the final day that I finished the front matter, it was so much writing and so much sitting and so much research. I was so thankful to be able to stand up and walk around and work on recipes because it was in the kitchen. I was going to be walking around. And I remember month 2 into the recipes, I was like, all I want to do is write. I can't do this anymore. It's so taxing, not only to your mind because it's running a mile a minute and there's so many things to do, but also just oh man, the schedule changes and all of my team have been so amazing at bending and flexing to everything that's been coming up with this book. And Kevin has been unbelievable. My family, my sister has been incredible. All my friends who I haven't seen for the last 8 months, I cannot wait till the book goes to print and I can go and see some of the friends that I literally haven't seen in almost a year because it's been so intense. And, I really know that my life work right now is to share this message of keto and how beneficial it can be to your body and your mind and your future and your family and your friends and everything, but in a kind way that I knew that if I said no to the publisher and I said no to this opportunity, I'd really be letting myself down. And this is not an easy thing. I figured that writing a book would be the same as how I write my programs. And it's so much more intense, I think, because I have no idea how this is going to turn out. I mean, I've invested 8 solid months of work plus another 3 on the editing process, which is very grueling. And I have no idea if people are even going to buy this book. And it's a very similar feeling to what I had when I wrote my very first digital program, which is called Dessert Freedom. I was so scared to put it out there. But once I did, it was really well received and everything went well. And I went on to make 11 more digital programs. So I know throughout this whole process, it's been such a learning curve for me, not only professionally, but also personally, to really dealing with fear and dealing with the feelings of fear and how I get over that. It's been like a wall after wall of overcoming fear. And that's really exciting and really cool. And it definitely reflects in the book a lot of going through everything and then having to, clean things up and just seeing how far I've come in the last, 10 months now now to see this book come to fruition, and the editing process is coming to a close, and we're now on January 10th, so it goes off to print in less than a month. We're just finalizing the meal plans, which are epic, guys. I'm so excited for these meal plans that incorporate all of the recipes from the book and different fat-fueled profiles, if you're familiar with the fat-fueled profiles. So it's very custom to individuals and super, super exciting. I'm so proud of myself. I'm very tired. I'm really excited for people, hopefully all over the world, to get this book. So let's go through a little bit of the outline. I'm just going to pull it up and read from it. We've revised it so many times. So first starts off with an introduction. So right initially, because diet is in the title of my book, I wanted to make a huge disclaimer about dieting and how against dieting I am. So we talk about that. We talk about the status of your body and how it's completely in your control and how you react to certain things. Weight loss not being about calories, and why I made this book. And we chatted a little bit about that previously. And then we've broken up the book into a couple of parts. Part 1 is, what is the ketogenic diet? So we chat a little bit about what happens in the body when you're in ketosis. So if you've been keto for a while, you probably know a lot of these things, the results from being in ketosis, signs that your body needs more fat, how to test if you are best in ketosis. So this is the breakfast test that I do with a lot of my clients. You know, like, do you respond really well to high fat foods or not so well? How do you feel in carbohydrates? And then we chat a little bit about cholesterol. And then I named chapter 2, the 50 shades of the keto diet, doing what works best for you. So there's different forms of ketogenic diets. And then I chat in depth about the paths to keto, which are your fat-fueled profiles. So if you guys have fat-fueled, you know that there are a couple of fat-fueled profiles, 3 in fact. I've added to that. So there are a total of 5 fat-fueled profiles. I've moved things around a little bit. So there's a low-carb, high-fat approach, a moderate fat, high protein approach, and then a low carb, high fat approach with carb ups. So what's really exciting about this chapter is that I've put together a little quiz that you can take that will help you determine what fat-fueled profile is best for you based on some of your symptoms or imbalances that you have in your body. If you guys follow me on Instagram stories, I put together a story of me putting together this questionnaire, and it was such a nightmare. It took me forever, and I was struggling with it so much until Kevin came into my office and he's like, why don't you just do this? And then it all kind of fell together. So major props to that guy. I couldn't have done any of this without his help and support, because there are days where if you've been editing for like 10 hours nonstop, you start to go a little bit crazy, and he'll come into my office and I'm like dancing instead of editing. So he, gives me a hug and tells me to get back to work. So it's been really good. And then further on in that chapter, we chat a little bit about, a lot about carb ups. If you want to eat all the carbs, how to do that, avoiding binges on carb ups, why diets fail, talking about the benefits of a carb up, why carbs are better eaten at night instead of in the morning or during the day, and then where the ketogenic diet falls short when it comes to protein. So we talk about gluconeogenesis, why having enough protein on the keto diet is essential, and the different types of approaches that you can take to making sure that you're having enough protein. Chapter 3, we go into the keto experience. So macros and tracking, we chat a ton about that, and daily portion plates, the benefits of fiber, and the different options that you have for tracking your macros. So if you are not a tracker like me, how do you know how much fat you're eating, and how do you know whether or not you're in ketosis? What to expect when you go keto. So this is more of a introductory piece. Working out on the keto diet, I've put in a bunch of tips on creating positive movement instead of, focusing on pushing yourself in spin class when you absolutely hate going to spin. How can you create a positive relationship with movement and still feel really good and love what you're doing? There's a bunch of stuff on supplements. And then in chapter 4, I bring in a bunch of resources on eating keto at home and traveling. So there's grocery guides, there's eating out guides, different restaurants that you can go to, different things you can order at restaurants, how to travel. There's a really, really cool infographic that we put together that is different for if you're staying at a condo or you're staying at a house or you're staying at a hotel or you don't have access to a grocery store, or you do, or you're taking a plane or you're not, or you're driving. So a bunch of different options that you can follow through. And then in chapter 5, it's all about troubleshooting. So if you're having issues adapting or problems with keto flu, acne, constipation, the dragon breath that some of us know on keto, any scalp issues, keto rash, insomnia, hair loss, there's a bunch in there. So chapter 1 really gets into how to start eating keto, the benefits of eating keto, some of the carb up strategies, what fat fuel profile is best for you. And then in part 2, we go through how to actually eat keto. And this is the most exciting piece to me because it's something that's so lacking in resources out there, I find, of just like, here are a bunch of recipes, but like, how do I actually do this that's like practical? And these are a lot of the strategies that I've used to get to my keto experience and where I am right now. So we go through all the different keto foods, making sense of why dairy is not okay, why legumes might be okay. And so we get through some of that fuzzy area of, you know, if you're vegan or vegetarian, how do you make this work for you? Different food quality and, you know, why it's important to get grass-fed, grass-finished beef. And if you can't, here are the options. Then I go through some of my keto power foods that I make sure I eat a lot of every day. And then how to make your own fat bombs, how to make your quick snacks, the differences and benefits to different produce. And we go through the sweeteners and alcohol on a ketogenic diet, how to prepare fermented foods and why they're so important, and then adjustments for your special diets. So things like FODMAP, AIP, nightshades, how vegans are to navigate through this. And then I put together this sweet resource in chapter 7 that talks all about the good fats, the bad fats, ones to stay away from, ones to totally hate on. There's an intense practical oil guide. I spent, oh my gosh, probably 10 days on this guide, and it goes through all the different oils, why they're beneficial, what to look for in the store, what to stay away from. And I learned that canola oil actually isn't that bad if it's unprocessed, like totally unprocessed and just the way it is. If you put it on salads, it's actually phenomenal compared to some of the other oils out there. So I learned something new. I was pretty blown away by it. I thought, I mean, that can't be right. That can't be right. But everything pointed at it being right. So I was really excited to share that in the book. And then we go through MCT oil, using different fats. So, you know, I say use cacao butter and coconut oil in this way, but if you don't have this, use this kind of oil. So it's just a practical guide, because there's nothing worse than when you go to make a recipe and it calls for coconut oil and you don't have any and you have no idea which oil to use instead. And then in chapter 8, because the keto diet is focused on removing grains and dairy, and there's no grains or dairy in the plan, I figure we should probably tell you how to remove grains and dairy. And then part 3 is all about keto in the kitchen. So we're going to be going through the basics of keto. So your rocket fuel latte, keto lemonade, bone broth, how to prepare noodles, nuts and seeds, how to render your own fats. And then I realized after I did all the recipes, after 149 recipes made and probably like 100 fails, that I have a lot of tips and tricks to save a lot of time and energy in the kitchen. So I put together some strategies on that, including my 1-pan meal strategy, tricks and shortcuts, and then how to prepare carb ups. So the carb up section in chapter 10 is oodles of pages. It literally teaches you how to prepare every sort of carb up option you could possibly ever imagine. Like, it took us forever to prepare this resource. There's got to be at least 100 recipes in that carb up food preparation, just in that section itself, not even in the actual book, and the actual recipes that are ketogenic. And then chapter 11 goes through using the recipes. So we chat about kitchen appliances, different ingredients that I used, where to find those ingredients, and then it wraps it all up with the meal plans and the shopping list. So the recipes themselves go through a bunch of different pieces. We have sauces, we have snacks, salads and soups, and lunches and dinners, as well as desserts and fat bombs. What I love, my favorite my favorite feature of all the recipes is that I've tagged them as being low FODMAP or nut-free or egg-free, and then given variations for all of that. I really tried to think of everyone when I was writing this book, from people that have immune deficiencies to inflammation, those that are sensitive to seeds and nuts, or, not including a lot of ghee, because I know, like myself, I react to ghee. So a lot of the oils are not ghee, and giving recommendations on coconut free stuff. So if you're sensitive to coconut or even avocado, how do you make this work long term? Because there's nothing worse than being sensitive to, say, coconut and being told that, you have to eat coconut on a ketogenic diet. It's sort of like a wah wah. So the recipes, although on the cover it says that there's 125, I was working on the meal plans the other day, and there's at least 140. Like, there's no way that there's only 125. So you get a bunch of extra recipes. Some of my favorites are, I did a chicken ketchup. So there's a ketchup recipe, a classic Caesar dressing that's amazing. I nailed an egg-free mayonnaise, as well as a regular mayonnaise made with avocado oil or a bunch of different oils that you can play around with. The infused oils are delicious. Chicken crisps, bacon crackers, zesty nacho, cabbage chips. I learned how to prepare flank steak, which is actually delicious, and oh my gosh. So I made a spinach salad with that one. There's a meat pizza that was delicious. Oh, and I remember, it's also in the book, a prosciutto wrapped fish fillets with vegetables. And that was one of my favorites. I ate a lot preparing this book for y'all. It's really great. My favorite porky cabbage is in there. So it's like cabbage and pork and all the good things. And I included some of my favorite desserts and things that I eat quite frequently, especially when it comes to more of like the fat bomb desserts. So my lemon drops and chocolate covered coffee bites are in there. I also included the vanilla ice cream that I make quite frequently for myself, a bunch of different bark recipes that are really easy, and the coconut whipped cream, obviously. There is my favorite fat bomb fudge, which is made with bacon grease. It's like the highlight of my life. I prepare this stuff so often, and I'm so excited to share the recipe with you. Most of the recipes aren't on healthfulpursuit.com. I would say there's probably about 10 classic recipes, like my porridge recipe is in there, and my flax focaccia, and some of my muffins that I just had to put in the book because they're kind of like Healthful Pursuit favorites, as well as the rocket fuel latte. That's a given, but everything else is completely new. You have not seen it before. I hadn't seen it before. One of my highlight drinks that I totally nailed on the first go was a keto pina colada. Guys, it is so good. It's so good. It's just amazing. So that kind of gives you an idea of the recipes. And then, like I said, at the end of the recipe section, and really to tie everything together, I separated out all of the recipes and assigned them to different fat fueled profiles. So each fat fueled profile, which is sort of, think of it as like a path that you can take on your ketogenic journey, whether yours is going to be more of a classic approach where you're going to eat high fat, low carb, and you're not going to have any carbs, you're going to have moderate protein and just stay the course. So there's going to be a plan for you on that. There's also going to be a plan called pumped keto. This is a new fat fueled profile that focuses in on making sure that you're having enough protein, and usually an increase in protein than what you're usually used to on a classic ketogenic approach. So there'll be a plan for that. And then full keto, that includes 1 carb up a week. So there'll be a plan for that. And then adapted fat burner, that usually includes a couple of carb ups every week. So there'll be a plan for that. And then the last one is your daily fat burner. And the daily fat burner is quite unique in that it's more of a healing protocol where you are in fat burning. So you are in a mild ketogenic state, but you are using carbohydrates every night. This is super, super fabulous for individuals that have some major imbalances, such as adrenal dysfunction or anxiety, depression, any autoimmune conditions, if you're breastfeeding, or perhaps you have candida, or you've been a chronic dieter for a really long time, or you have a history of an eating disorder, hypothyroidism. So the list goes on, and it's all outlined in the book. So if you have any of these imbalances, I've done my best to highlight these and show you which fat fuel profile would work well for you. And then that section at the back of the book, which really talks about how to, make keto work for you and how to adjust things, also tells you which fat fuel profiles to switch between if they're not working for you to really make it work. Yeah. So, oh my gosh, I'm so thrilled. I hope that by listening to this, you're really excited about the book. I know that I'm really excited about the book. Even if you're like, nah, it's not really my thing, but I'm really excited for you and you want to share it, definitely share it with the people that you think would benefit from it. If you have friends that are interested in starting keto, or you just need more recipes, or people that need more recipes in the keto space, it'll definitely be a good resource for those that are looking for that. And it's so different from the keto beginning and from fat fueled. And that's really what I want to do with everything that I create. I don't want to recreate something. The information that you find in fat fueled, you will not find in the keto diet. The information that you find in the keto beginning won't be in fat fueled. So it's all new stuff, new ideas, new strategies, so that they accompany each other so well. So if, you were encouraged to try keto with the keto beginning and you want to continue your keto journey, fat fueled is awesome. And then when the keto diet comes out, guaranteed, if you get that, you're gonna be like, whoa, there's so much stuff in here that I didn't know about. So I'm always, adding on to things. And with the keto diet, if somebody were to get that first and then, grab some of my digital programs, there's a lot in there that I didn't share in the keto diet, really because we just ran out of space. Like my editor keeps saying, like, we got to cut this. Like we're way over in space, because I just have so much to share and so much to lend to everyone. So I hope that by sharing a little bit of the story behind the book, you guys know how hard I've worked on this for everyone. And, people that probably aren't even listening to this podcast will find it and maybe hadn't even heard about keto before, and they're struggling with something, and by practicing keto their life changes. And that's really all I want. I mean, I can't credit this work. I didn't create keto. I found that keto, the traditional way, didn't work for me and so many other people. So I really wanted to come out with a resource where people can feel like it's okay to create a keto that works for them. And I think that the keto diet does a pretty good job at communicating that. And there were a couple chapters that I was editing and going through, and I was like, wait, what? Did I write this? Heck yeah, that's like amazing. It's crazy. And I'm so happy that you guys have been along for the ride. And again, if you are interested in more about the keto diet, or you want to read a little bit about it before maybe you pre-order it, you can go to ketodietbook.com. And again, if you end up pre-ordering it, definitely go back to that URL and enter in your details, and you can get that exclusive bundle. And as time progresses, I'll be sharing details of my book tour and the different places that I'll be stopping in at different bookstores and such to sign books and chat with people. That's probably the thing that I'm most excited about. I love chatting with all of you in person. And so I hope that I can hit a lot of the places that you live, and we can chat about keto, and I can sign your book, and we can just like chill. I don't even know. I've never hosted a book signing. I don't even know what we'll do, but it'll be great. So I hope you guys have a great week. I'm happy that I caught you on this beautiful Tuesday, and I will see you on Sunday. And that does it for another episode of the Keto Diet Podcast. Thanks for listening in. You can follow me on Instagram by searching Healthful Pursuit, where you'll find daily keto eats and other fun things. And check out all of my keto supportive programs, bundles, guides, and other cool things over at healthfulpursuit.com/shop. And I'll see you next Sunday. Bye.